His Royal Highness the Prime Minister, Prince Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa, chaired the Cabinet meeting at Gudabia Palace this morning in the presence of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, Deputy Supreme Commander and First Deputy Premier, Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa. His Royal Highness the Prime Minister opened the meeting with the following speech.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بمناسبة صدور الإرادة الملكية السامية، يسرنا أن نرحب بصاحب السمو الملكي الأمير سلمان بن حمد آل خليفة، ولي العهد نائب القائد الأعلى، كنائب أول لنا، وأن ننتهز هذه المناسبة لنهنئ سموه على هذه الثقة الملكية الغالية، وإننا على ثقة ويقين بأن مشاركة سموه معنا في العمل الحكومي من خلال مجلس الوزراء سيكون عوناً لنا في تطوير وتحديث أجهزة السلطة التنفيذية لما يتمتع به سموه من تجربة وخبرة وخلفية إدارية، متمنياً لسمو ولي العهد نائب القائد الأعلى النائب الأول لرئيس مجلس الوزراء كل التوفيق، وله منا جميعاً كل العون والمساندة، والله الموفق.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أتقدم أولاً بجزيل الشكر والامتنان إلى حضرة صاحب الجلالة الملك الوالد حمد بن عيسى آل خليفة ملك مملكة البحرين حفظه الله ورعاه على ثقته الملكية السامية بتعييني نائباً أول لرئيس مجلس الوزراء، وبترحيب صاحب السمو الملكي العم العزيز الوالد الأمير خليفة بن سلمان آل خليفة رئيس مجلس الوزراء الموقر بهذه الثقة. إن خبرتكم وحكمتكم يا سمو الرئيس تنير لنا الطريق إلى المستقبل، فأنتم ركن من أركان الدولة في الماضي والحاضر والمستقبل، ومطلوب منا اليوم جميعا وأكثر من أي وقت مضى العمل متكاتفين بمساهمة جميع أبناء البحرين دون استثناء أو إقصاء أو تمييز لنتجاوز كافة التحديات الراهنة. ولهذا فإننا بحاجة إلى وضع برنامج سياسي يواكب متطلبات العصر وإرادة الشعب البحريني، وكذلك النظر في خططنا التنفيذية ورؤيتنا الاقتصادية لتكون البحرين دائما أولا وأملا للجميع، وأن تصل مخرجات العمل الحكومي إلى وضع الأولويات الصائبة والضرورية بعدالة ومساواة، بحيث يؤمن الجميع بالبحرين وطنا لمليكها ولاء، وبنبذ العنف نهجا، وبالإصلاح الفعال هدفا. نطلب الله عز وجل أن يوفقنا وإياكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكرا.
The Cabinet denounced recent acts of terror and sabotage in some regions to disrupt work and the educational process by violence and force. The Ministerial Council praised the vigilance and efforts of the security officers, as well as the will of citizens in thwarting those attempts to sow chaos, adding that rejection of such destructive calls is indicative that progress and reform can never be achieved through terror and anarchy. The Cabinet stressed that renouncing violence must be by taking explicit stances, direct actions and standing united against violence and its perpetrators in order to build trust and to pave the way for constructive dialogue that supports political development. The Ministerial Council reviewed progress of the National Consensus Dialogue on political issues and urged all parties involved to take part actively and expedite working out an agenda for visions so as to reach a consensus on them and bring about new gains in political development. The Council also called on all sides to engage in an unconditional dialogue based on ostracising all forms of violence, rejecting foreign interference in internal affairs, and adhering to the constitutional frameworks, the consensual approach and respect to the principle of political pluralism. The Cabinet discussed the financial situation in Bahrain and reviewed in this regard the bases upon which the overall estimations of revenues, expenditures and deficit were made and included in the General Budget Draft Law for the fiscal years 2013 and 2014, which was referred to the legislative power. After reviewing a memorandum by the Finance Minister, the Cabinet approved a number of initiatives aimed at improving citizens' living standards and income sources by raising the subsidisation programme budget and the high cost of living allowance budget for pensioners from the public and private sectors, supporting the private sector's charity initiatives for needy people, and raising the budget of some services ministries. The Ministerial Council also endorsed a number of proposals aimed at boosting sustainable funding sources and restructuring the General Treasury in the medium and long term. The Cabinet tasked competent authorities to take the necessary procedures to amend the Budget Draft Law. The Cabinet also discussed broadening the scope of beneficiaries from urgent aid provided by the government to compensate citizens who fall victim to adversities that threaten their livelihoods, which are currently exclusive to fire incidents. The Ministerial Council tasked the Ministerial Committee for Financial and Economic Affairs to study the financial aspects in this regard. The Cabinet discussed the needed legal frameworks to grant the Bahraini citizenship to the children of a Bahraini woman married to a non-Bahraini, according to well-determined regulations highlighted by the Interior Minister in his memorandum submitted in this regard. The Council decided to refer the memo to the Ministerial Committee for Legal Affairs. The Cabinet approved a pilot scheme to extend the school time to 2:15 in the afternoon in 8 intermediate schools in the academic year 2013 and 2014. The Ministerial Council approved the amendment of fees levied on crossing Bahrain's airspace in line with the recommendations of the Ministerial Committee for Social Services, Media, Transportation and Communication Affairs. Out of the Cabinet's keenness to ensure a favourable local, regional and international investment climate in Bahrain Logistics Zone at Khalifa bin Salman Port, the Ministerial Council decided to cut down the leasing rate of lands located in the aforementioned region by 40%. Therefore, 1 square metre in Bahrain Logistics Zone will be leased at 3.6 dinars instead of the current 6 dinars. The Cabinet approved a draft decree to ratify the Beijing Amendment 1999 of the original Montreal Protocol, which was signed in 1987, as a first step in international efforts to protect the stratospheric ozone by controlling depleting substances.